Hello, so this is the answers to my Q&A that I posted a few days ago on Instagram. If you're not following my Instagram account, go check it, Josiah Taylor Official. I'll try and link it. So yes, let's get straight into it. So, if you don't know me, my name is Josiah Taylor. I'm a new British musician. I'm gonna release my first EP very soon. The EP is called Innocence. There's 4 songs in it. I've posted some leaks from those songs on YouTube and Instagram, so check those out. I would say I'm an alternative rock artist. There's some influences, sometimes from art rock, sometimes a little bit of new metal influence, although I don't do screaming, and a little bit of pop punk influence sometimes as well. So yeah, that's me. But to answer the questions, so over on Instagram, Jenny2006 asks, what inspired you to get into music and performing? So, I've always had an interest in music and performing all the way from a young age. I think there's just always been something that appeals to me about being able to have that catalyst for anything you go through, any thoughts you have, any feelings you feel, that you can write into a song and then express it to whoever has decided to be there to listen. And it's like, it's a healthy way to get all that stuff out without having to trauma dump on people or anything like that. And yeah, just music in general is just a great way of connecting with people. Pretty much anyone, I guess, except not usually deaf people, but people with good hearing, then music is like a whole lifeblood in various different ways. People socialize through music, um, like people dance to music, people like to sing along to things, people do karaoke, and people listen to music as a form of therapy. Uh, yeah, just pretty much every area of life there's music in it, and I think that just made me want to be a part of that. Yeah, so that's to answer Jenny 2006's question. Morby asks, what famous artists do you think your style is most similar to? And if you were to go on tour, what locations would you choose? Now, I will say I am a long way off going on tour. However, I will answer it on the hypothetical. So, what famous artists do I think my style is most alike to? So, I've got a few different influences. I will say one influence I have named before is Linkin Park. I've got kind of rap rock track called Warfare. You can see clips of me rapping the verses of those pretty fast. No Eminem, but I think it's impressive enough that it's worth going to check out. And yeah, other influences I've stated at the top of my Instagram page. So a bit of Evanescence, a bit of Paramore, just anyone I listen to really. They'll influence me a bit. It's probably mostly 2000s rock bands, that kind of time and genre. So yeah, um, uh, the guy who's helped me with production and recording, his name is Ollie E. Go check him out as well. He, when we were recording my music, said some of it reminded him of 21 Pilots, some of it reminded him a little bit of Slipknot, which surprised me because, again, I don't do any screaming, but I guess the instrumental reminded him of that. And some of it reminded him of Nine Inch Nails. So, yeah, those are comparisons that we've had. But then, yeah, the tour question. So, yeah, again, I'm a long way off that. But if I were to go on tour, where would I want to go? I think the obvious answer is somewhere in America. That's going to be the biggest place that you're going to get a tour at. That being said, I don't want necessarily to get so famous that I can't go anywhere without people harassing me. But if I were to be big enough to tour, then yeah, I think I'm just going to answer about what places I would like to go. I think France has always sounded like a nice country to explore. The romance country, it's interesting from what I've heard of it. Australia would be a pretty, like, theoretically, it would be a pretty interesting country to visit. That being said, I think I would melt in the heat. But yeah, it's very hypothetical. I can't really say any specific locations within countries because, again, this is like way into the future if I ever do start touring. I mean, like, hopefully, like, if I get somewhere with my music, I can be going around, at least around the country. But as of right now, I'm just starting out, so it's hard to answer that question properly. Sarah Renshaw asks, where would you like to be at with your music at the end of 2026? Now, I will say the end of 2026 feels a lot nearer to me than it probably does to a lot of people for a few reasons. One just being that just long amounts of time often seem like short amounts of time to me, but I think a big reason for that is because work, like working on music and stuff, you might not realize it, but it takes quite a long time. One EP has taken me, well, how long has it taken me? Pretty much 6 months ish. So, yeah, things take a long time. And by the end of 2026, realistically, where I'm probably going to be at, I'll have my EP released. It's not impossible I could have a couple more singles after it, but yeah, I will still be at the start because to me, the end of 2026 is just the next, like the latter end of the era I'm already in. However, to answer the question with a bit more ambition, where would I like to be? It would be nice if I could have a more full album dropping. I would like people to be listening to it. Again, I don't really want to get too famous. And if that happens, then it happens, and I'll appreciate it for what it is. But it is not my goal. But I would like to be, I guess, I would like to have a fan base, but less so because I want them to celebrate me, and more so because I want my music to be reaching people who can relate to it or who can listen to it for enjoyment or for comfort or for whatever it is they want to listen to it for. I would mean a lot to me to be able to be the guy who's provided that for them. And which leads me into Ruth Kent X asks, what do you like the most about writing songs and performing? Well, yeah, writing songs, what I like the most is being able to make them mean whatever somebody it means to them so that people can relate to it. So I will write about my own experience, but I won't write literally, this is what happened and then that happened. Like, it's not like a, well, not to stereotype, but like a country song will often just tell the full story in detail. I tend not to do that, but I will tell the story through imagery and metaphors, and most importantly, with the underlining meaning behind all the events that have happened and what they have in common, and people hopefully will be able to paint whatever event they've gone through onto that, which has the same underlying meaning or pattern as my event, even if it isn't exactly the same thing. So, like, say for example, in my song Innocence, I've written about that feeling of a loss of innocence as I grow up and I realise how broken the world is. And for me, a lot of that is a very religious thing of seeing people doing things that I've always been taught, sinful things, that it shocked me to learn that they're treated quite casually by the majority of people. But I haven't made that so explicit. You can easily see it in the lyrics once I've said that, but I've not made it so explicit that that has to be the meaning. The person can listen to that and take it as, oh, I feel like I'm losing my innocence because maybe something bad happened to me that was like a really non-innocent thing. Maybe somebody did something to that person, and that maybe that song's about that for them. Or maybe the person isn't religious, but they still feel like they're losing their innocence as they go older. They see how common like awful things like rape or things like that are. So yeah, that's the kind of songwriting I go for, where it means something, it has a specific meaning, it means something to me, but it's um, implicit enough that it can mean something similar but different to somebody else, so that it's not all about me, because it's meant to be about me, it's meant to be about the people I'm writing the songs for, the audience. I want the songs to be mostly for them, less for me. So that's what I like most about writing songs. What do I like most about performing? Well, it's nice when the crowd cheers or claps or whatever, especially when it's in the middle of a song, because then you know you've done something well. If it's at the end, it's a bit obligatory, but it's still nice to get that validation. And yes, there's something very soothing and comforting about music, especially I find singing, me as a singer, using my voice in that way can be very calming. Even when I'm singing about like negative things, it's venting it out in a healthy way, which doesn't burden anybody because everybody's there for that. Or if I'm singing somebody else's song, then it's nice to share that with the audience if they know the song. It's that experience of, singing along together, which is a nice thing to do with your friends, but it's on a bigger scale where you're the one providing that for the whole audience, and there's something nice about being able to do that for them. So yeah, that's that question. And DevTaylor.dt, who may or may not be my mother, has asked, how do you manage the breathing for the really fast rapping? So if you don't know, that's referencing the lyrics to the verses of Warfare, which is one of the songs from my upcoming EP. I've posted quite a few clips of that. So yeah, and they're pretty fast. So to answer the question, breathing technique across voice is pretty much the same across anything, singing, rapping, whatever you're doing with your voice, even if it's acting and you need to project to the audience in the theatre. Something important to note about how well you're breathing, well, there's where you breathe. So if there's a gap in the vocals you're doing, even if it's a small gap, get a breath in there. And then your mouth shaping is important. So what I've always been taught is have a 2-finger gap between your teeth. Not that way, so it's like that. And yeah, even just doing that, you get a yawn breath in, and you want to get it down into your to your chest area, but you don't want to be singing from the throat, you want to be singing from your diaphragm, so you get the breath down in there. And that helps with projection, is probably the main thing that helps with, but it's just that general breathing technique. It helps to be able to breathe in between any vocals. But just to talk about specifically when you're going really fast, well, I will say I did rewrite the lyrics of those verses to make it easier after I wrote harder things originally. So what made it easier was the particular letters in the words that I'm using. So I don't want to be doing anything which closes up the throat too much so that I can't articulate it. So there's the line all in one breath. If you're living in a living, then you gotta make a living. If you're living in a dying, then you gotta stop your lying. If you're not making a living, but you're living in a living, then you better just start giving into living with a giving back the giving of the giving of the living of forgiving of forgiving of the living by the dying of the king. I did it slower there than I do in the song, but yeah, that's the line. So you might notice I'm not saying living or giving. I'm dropping the G on all of those because that completely closes up the throat. You don't want to be doing that. You can't get a breath in on an but just an just a little gap between my teeth when I'm doing that. So like versus yeah. And yeah, so that makes that easier. And there's no hard plosives. I mean, there's dying, but I'm not going on the D very hard, so I'm not going dying. I'm going dying. So it's like almost an end, so dying. So yeah, because hard plosives, you need to go down with the teeth or the tongue or the mouth or wherever it is harder to articulate them better. And when you're going really fast, you can't really do that. So yeah, it's finding the right words to be using to make it easier. The hardest bit in the song by far is in the third verse, I believe, might be the second verse. There's now you're wounded in the battle, but you don't want me to vet you, and you make it just upsets you, and you're gonna cut me open if you're cutting yourself open, walking on the enemy ground, turning away from being found. What you think, and they accept it? You think that's gonna exempt it? If you tie him with the villain, then he's gonna make a killing. If he offers you a treat, breath, and it's not when you should villain. Until that breath, that's all in one, and then after that, you've got all in one. Because the number's getting bigger and the cloud is getting thicker, and as long as there's a teaser, then I'm gonna be a sticker. Now we're spiraling, it's tiring, blame it on my wiring. Breath, got to keep an eye on all the gunshots you'll be firing. So yeah, it's finding the right places to breathe, avoid plosives, and avoid sounds which close up the mouth, and then it's easier to do those sounds faster without all of that surrounding it. So yeah, that answers that question. So yeah, that will conclude my Q&A. Those were the questions we had over on Instagram. And if anybody wants to ask any more questions, you're welcome to, wherever you're watching this. If it's on YouTube, if it's on Instagram, just drop another question in the comments if that's what you want to ask. And if I get enough, then I'm willing to do another one of these. That's the questions I've got so far, because I only posted, I think, 2 days ago. I wanted to get this out as soon as possible because my EP was due to come out on Friday. So watch this space. Follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoy the Innocence EP when it comes out. See ya.